So, it makes me think of a really important topic, as there's so much noise, right? There's so much information, there's so much change, there's so many technologies. And when you look at what people are looking for from their IT leadership, I've been looking at, role descriptions for IT leaders, and it's surprising to me how much the expectation is on a detailed or in-depth level of technology understanding, right? Like that, like they're expecting, the CIO to know how to code, which is fascinating to me. Cause I don't know, it's not quite the same job. You know what I mean? Like, when you think
Right.
about an IT leader, like what are the things that you want from your IT leader?
Yeah, I mean, what I want from my IT labor leader is enablement. I want him to listen. I want him to knock down barriers. I want him to, be that servant leader role. I was taught back in the day when I was going to school, there was theory X and theory Y. A theory X manager was my employees are lazy. I got to watch out for them. I got to keep an eye on. I got to make sure they do the right work. And I know more than they do, so I know how to code and you code. And I'm gonna be honest, there was times in my career I might have managed that way because I could code. I could do the work. I knew the technology. But I'm more now on the theory Y side of it. Look, I'm here to help my employees. I'm here to make the team better. What can I do to let them maximize their ability to execute? Because my job is to knock, as a leader, would be to knock down the barriers and help them. I don't need to be the technical specialist anymore. And that's been hard for me as someone who came up the tech stack to say, look, I do not know this tech. I was on a call earlier today with a very sharp developer, and I said, look, he goes, well, I know, Mike, you probably don't. I go, no, 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 stop. You've got the pen. You're leading the way. I'm here to get the bears out of the way. And I bounce ideas. I know some of it, but I don't need to be in depth, right? And I think that is a misconception. You're not going to find those unicorns that can do. I'm a great leader, and I can a heads down developer, and I know all about integration patterns. That's a unicorn. You're not going to find that. So I go look for it. Why not find in a leadership role that leader that can help get all that capability out of the technical people and maximize the ability.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I've been a chief architect, I've been a CTO, and I am obviously not a coder by background. I've had people say, I don't understand how you can be successful if you don't know how to do that. And to your point, I think it's kind of weird if I did know how to do that. Partially because I think I wouldn't have been good at my job, but on top of that, it's like I would be micromanaging a bunch of people who work for me, right? Like essentially saying, I don't trust your code. And so I need to go look at it to be sure that I feel good about it. And I think that's
Well,
just,
I mean, yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, I remember that's how you and I met, right? I mean, we were in the roles. You were the enterprise architect. I was a solution architect, and you had the vision, and my job was the execution. And I think that's where we worked well together because I didn't want you got that, I got this. And the number of times I remember us having those meetings, you saying to me, "Look, I don't know what you're talking. I assume you got it." And I said, "Look, I can make this happen. I assume you're telling me it's the right way he's having." And I think that was synergistic for us to say we can get work done together. Right? So that's what I look for. A partner. I look for a leader or a team member that makes me better at what I do. Not can replace what I do. So
yeah, I think certainly I think from a leader perspective, you have to know how to pick good technical talent. And I think we should come
sure,
back to how do you
sure.
how do you know somebody is good at technology?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's hard.
But I think to your point, it's about enablement. You and I both know, like in technology, there are 100 ways to solve a problem, right? You can do it cheaper, you can do it faster, you can do it better, but you can't have all three necessarily. And if you leave it to the technical people, they may not pick the right answer. And so you're really looking for the leader to say, hey, what's important to us? What do we prioritize? Because the person on the ground who's executing is not necessarily going to know what that is. That's what the role of the leader is.
So I used to use the term the benevolent dictator. We need a benevolent dictator. So quick, silly little story, right? This is back when we were building. I was building websites for people, right? So I'm early on. I'm in this bank, and a bunch of people sitting around. They're talking about what they're going to use a green background or a blue background because the green was important to them, but blue was also right. They're hour long conversation into this. Finally the bank president looks at me. He goes, Mike, you've been quiet. You're not usually that quiet. Why? What, don't you have an opinion on this? I go, well, here's my opinion. it doesn't matter to me, and you're paying me by the hour, so I think this is a wonderful conversation. You should keep going. And he looked at me, he kind of laughed. He goes, you're right. It's blue. We're done. Move on. So he became that benevolent dictator when I put him in the context of, how are you valuing this? That's your job as the leader to say, look, it's not right and wrong. It's different. And I'm going to help make the decision that we're going to lean left and right. Right? We're going to go this way instead of that way. I got to get agreement. Tell me if there's I'm going to break laws or, lose $1 million. But as long as it's not that critical and we're all in consensus, drive consensus, let's support everybody on making that decision. And then I always say to them, and then circle back and make sure that you give feedback. Say, did we still make the right decision? That's what a good leader does, right? Did we still make the right decision? I know you wanted to go the other way. Maybe it's time to revisit what you wanted to do. They get the voices heard, I think is important too.
Yeah.